Welcome back to Basics 2. This week we will be discussing makeup for film and stage. So let's talk a little bit about the history of stage makeup. Stage makeup has been dated as far back as ancient Greece, where they would use masks on stage, while Asian countries used makeup so they would be able to express facial emotions. In England, in the 1500s and 1600s, actors would use shadows to accentuate the face, and also they implemented the use of false beard and wigs. So during the beginning of time, I guess, the dim lighting of the stage was common, so rudimentary makeup was passable. In other words, they would have shoddy makeup and the audience would not notice because it would be dark and dim. So, however, with the invention of electricity, crude makeup became unacceptable. It would be actually a distraction towards the production because the makeup would be kind of bad and people would notice. So, in 1860, a German opera singer, Ludwig Leichner, invented the first grease paint stick. And later, stage makeup application did not transfer well on camera, so close-ups were noticeable and did not work with stage lighting systems. So let's talk about the history of makeup and film. And this began with the invention of motion pictures in the late 1800s. So soon after, in 1910, Max Factor, a Polish immigrant, invented the first grease paint that would be used for film and was adjusted to accommodate the lighting and camera film. So you can see I have pictured it's a makeup kit for students, and it has the grease paint, powder puff, and all the other extras that came with it. I have a close-up of this in your modules if you'd like to take a closer look. I think it's really interesting and cool that it started out as just a few pigments and now it exploded into what we know today. So later on, special effects makeups was created with actor Lon Chaney, and he pioneered the way of special effects, and his makeup was featured for the first time in Phantom of the Opera, which I have pictured here. You can see the use of very dramatic eyeliner and false teeth, even fake nose and aging. I mean, this hair, he had a receding hairline. Just the whole look was based on Lon Chaney's creations. And his work has been pretty much followed through today. And next, in the 1930s, it really took off with the creation of monster movies from that era. So you can see we have Dracula, Frankenstein, werewolves, creatures from the Black Lagoon, Bride of Frankenstein. All of those looks were created with Lon Chaney, and he was really the driving force behind that. So a little bit more about the history. The invention of motion pictures brought the need for actors to look the part. So it's not just beauty makeup, it's actually makeup to enhance the character. And you can see that through many before and after photos of people getting ready for movies, and you can see all the dedication it really takes for film makeup. And as the film eras progressed with the invention of Technicolor and film noir, the applications and formulas of products were always improving. So Max Factor actually invented a few different kinds of makeup for films. One was called Panachromatic, and that was for the use of color film. And I like these pictures here because you can see him working on her eyes, and it's shot in black and white, which was the common film back then. And then you can see how it translated to color, and you can really see all the detail. And this is a film noir. I just wanted to touch on that basic very quickly and say that back then it was all black and white, so they really needed to use grayscale to create facial features. If they were to go in with a light contour, it probably would, her nose would be lost in the lighting. And same with the lips. If they went in with a light pink, it would not show up very well. It'd show up as white. So they would have to go in with a darker red or a darker lipstick color. So they were always working with lighting for film. So some applications of makeup for film and for stage. These principles apply for both. However, the actual applying it to the face is different. So here we have corrective, which is your basic correcting imperfections, compensating for details that the camera picks up. And also on stage, it's less about correcting imperfections because you're going to be seen from farther away. But of course, you would want to correct any imperfections the actor may have. Next, you can do this to create a smooth base. This is a really good example here. You can see that it is a very, very smooth base, not a lot of contour. Next, define facial features to accommodate lighting, which we discussed in this previous picture here with the nose contour. And lastly, make the actor appear more symmetrical. So this could be just correcting someone's eyebrows, filling them in, or fixing their lip shape. So this, I say more symmetrical, but you'll find out that it's actually to make them appear more attractive. But I like to say symmetrical because symmetry is attractive. So your other side here is creative, which is basically just character design. And you can see here pictured that they have used a lot of different elements to create this body paint, face paint. They probably did some airbrushing, they did some contour, shadow work, they did highlight work. I mean, they really went all out. So a few more examples. Here is a 1920s makeup look. You can see the very dark lip, dark eyes, and smooth face. You can see that she basically almost doesn't have a nose bridge. Here, this is some stage work of character design. They used prosthetics, they used airbrushing, they used probably some eyeliner to draw that, and some hair pieces. Next here is some film work where you can see she's undergone a whole transformation to become this character with a bald cap, prosthetics, paint, and makeup or contacts here. So next is a film shot, and you can see how they just very dramatically outlined the whole face. So it's done on purpose, obviously, to portray a character. Next, you can see some aging that they've done here through the use of shadows. They added some under eye bags, a little bit of brow furling here, and some lines around the nose to create this aged effect. And lastly, another stage example, you can see that she really has transformed into a character. So, special effects makeup. This is a type of makeup used in film to create a non-traditional effect. You can do this on stage as well. So this would include prosthetics, aging, again, creature design, character design, body art, and face painting. So you can see the use of prosthetics here to give her this lightning effect that maybe she was struck by lightning and now she's left with the scar. Here you can see this is a zombie character design. It's not very gruesome, but it still portrays very heavily the story. They've used red eyeliner, white contacts, prosthetics to make the face appear sunken in. They've used prosthetic teeth. They've used some type of element to create this wrinkling effect. And they've used fake blood to make it look like he's just eaten someone. And next here you have an example of ways to use liquid latex and tissue to actually create this mummified look here. So there's a lot of household products that you can easily access to create something of your design. So now let's talk about makeup for stage. So the same principles and steps of foundation, blushes, and contour apply. It's important to start with a clean base because a lot of these products are oil-based, and you want to protect the skin from collecting, clogging the pores. So always start with a clean base. I've seen a lot of people recommend using an astringent before you start to really, really close the pores. Next is recreating facial features that are washed out due to lighting. So stage lighting is very harsh and a lot of detail is lost. So that is always going to be in the forefront of your mind when you are creating a makeup look. Next is to develop a character, and that I already showed you examples of. You're just basically using the makeup as a tool to create a character. So let's talk a little bit about product. We will get into that in the next slide, but let's just go over it now. So you have your grease paint, and you have your cream makeup, and you have your cake makeup. So these are the three most common types of makeup for this type of theatrical production. So a lot of these, like the grease and the paint, must be set within a translucent powder, and the cake makeup is water activated, so it risks running and being exposed to the elements. So if you were sweating or if you got rained on, your cake makeup most likely would wash away. Whereas your grease paint, since it's oil-based, has a better time withstanding that. So grease paint is more vibrant than cream, and you're going to want to be a little more heavy-handed for a larger stage production opposed to a smaller stage production where the audience is closer and can see more, and therefore you wouldn't want to use as much where it would be a distraction. So a little bit about makeup for film. Your basic makeup refers to a style of application that compensates for undesirable changes the camera produces, such as excess shine. Next, you want to keep the client's foundation shade within 2 shades darker or lighter. You don't really want to deviate too much because it's going to be shown on camera, and the camera picks up color very well, and you'd be able to notice that it doesn't match. So you want to use makeup to correct uneven skin tones. A good example of this would be if somebody has a tan but their eye sockets are lighter than their tan, you want to go ahead and correct that. Also, if you're going to be working with, exposed tan lines, you definitely want to go ahead and correct those. Another tip is check your makeup under the lighting that will be used. So most of the time, your actors will be ready to go, and you're going to be there as a makeup artist to just double check and make sure that they look really good through the video monitor. And so you may apply makeup to other parts of the body, such as hands and ears. This can be corrective or it can be creative. There's an example of Natalie Portman in The Black Swan, where she has makeup on her hand when she's on stage. So that's a good example of that.